I'm Brian Kwong.
And I'm Mark Ross.
We're Salesforce experts that love talking about technology and Salesforce.
We also love humor. Doesn't mean we're actually good at it.
In the Salesforce community, I'm known as the Salesforce Wizard, likely due to me wearing a wizard hat at Salesforce events.
And I'm known as Salesforce Yoda for pretty much the same reason.
You should see the ears.
We have a passion to help educate and entertain people.
So we've joined forces to create Wizardcast.
We've got tips and best practices.
We talk with interesting people.
All mixed with quote-unquote jokes and humor.
Welcome to the Wizardcast.
Why did Sally fall off the swings?
No.
This is a clean joke, right, Patrick?
It sure is.
No.
Why did Sally fall off the swings?
Because she had no arms.
It's terrible.
Brian. Hey, Brian.
It
knock,
is.
knock.
We only do one joke on the podcast.
No, this is all one joke.
Who's there?
Not Sally.
Not Sally who?
No, not Sally.
He did
She
it.
has no arms, Brian.
You can knock with your feet. I do it all the time when I'm carrying packages.
I've got the better
All right,
version.
I got a different one. Why did the chicken cross the road?
Ooh, this is a good one. Why?
To get to the ugly kid's house.
Oh, no.
All right, that one's going to be edited out.
Hold on.
Just like to point out, Pat has been here for 6 hours and said the same 3 jokes all friggin' day.
Yeah. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
The chicken.
Ooh.
The chicken who?
The chicken who went to the ugly kids. I have to explain it. It's not
No,
funny.
because he
Yeah,
said,
all right, that is-
why'd the chicken cross the road? And he said, to get to the ugly guy's house. And then he said, knock, knock. And you said, who's there? And he said, it's the chicken. Like you're the ugly guy.
These are jokes my kids tell.
You know, if you had to explain it, it's not funny.
Yeah, I know.
If you are
I know.
10, it's hilarious.
I've got 3 13-year-olds, and they think that's the funniest joke they've ever heard.
So anyways,
Just saying.
welcome to the Wizardcast. And if you can't hear from the strange audio and the random people that you hear talking, we're live at Midwest Dreamin 2018 here in beautiful Chicago.
It is gorgeous. It's
It is-
lovely.
It's lovely, especially in the air conditioner. And you may wonder who my co-host is today. It's not Mark.
No, Mark is, well, he's not here.
He might be on a plane.
He could be on a plane, but the fact of the matter is he's not here again. So, again, I'm happy to help out. Just happy to be here.
Yeah. And you are again because people don't.
Sorry, I'm Ben Bolopue.
You may remember Ben Bolopue.
You're so close.
Bolopue.
Bolopue.
You may remember Ben from such podcasts as Midwest Dreamin before the Michelle Obama episode.
Oh, Dreamforce.
Dreamforce, yes.
before
And the MVP party at Dreamforce episode.
Yeah, Mark wasn't there either. No.
Yes. He's basically become my regular stand-in Mark Ross.
Although, in fairness, I could never truly live up to the standards that Mark Ross has set. I mean, that's a pretty high bar. I'm just saying.
You don't listen to the podcast, do you, Ben?
Sometimes I do.
So we're here at Midwest Dreamin during their reception hall, so it's night one.
And it's brilliant. Tons of expo folks set up. Lots of friends, people meeting each other for the first time. People that know each other for a long time. Not to mention
our previous guest co-host, Amber Boaz. Hi, Amber.
Hi, Brian.
So, Amber, why are you here at Midwest Dreamin instead of where you belong in, Carolina? South Carolina? South Carolina.
North Carolina.
Is there really a difference?
I think them there is
and
fighting
now is
words.
when I walk away.
Them there is fighting words. Let's talk.
So I am here because this is the the premier event for Salesforce community amazingness. It's the grandpappy of all amazing community events. And being a part of the Southeast Dreamin crew and the Witness Success crew, I'm here to spy, look for ideas, but also to see friends and see what's going on in the community and, talk to the expo folks and just learn all the things and hug all the people.
Hug all the people. That's important. It's very important.
Well, all right, I take back the Carolina joke. I know there's a big difference between vinegar and mustard for barbecue. It's okay.
There's a big difference between North and South Carolina barbecue. There is a huge difference. I don't know exactly what it is, but I know that it tastes way different. I will say that North Carolina barbecue, I do enjoy it slightly more. It seems like it's more mesquite kind
We
of
are
South barbecue.
totally losing all the Carolinian people that listen to this podcast.
I know. I'm just saying.
Between the you and I, we're going to have to crash this whole thing from the episode.
That's fine. That's fine. It might be the Heineken, but that's fine.
Yeah. So, as you can imagine, it is loud here. There's lots of people networking. And I think it's a really good opportunity to just find out why people are here. So, right? So, who should we ask next? We had a group of people here. Who should we ask?
Brad, what?
Brad Gross.
Yeah. So, Ben just introduced you as Brad Gross. So, who is Brad Gross?
Great question. Brad Gross has been around for 20 years into the Salesforce space, and I am one of the original Salesforce MVPs. I am also known as the guy with no filter,
Which is amazing.
which is a lot more fun than the guy with a filter.
I agree. I
Yeah.
agree.
So a lot of what I do is I'm a consultant, and I'm also the guy that tells a lot of customers no, and then tell them what they really should be doing with their Salesforce systems.
And why are you here at Midwest Dreamin?
I am here to talk about Salesforce CPQ and about what it can do and how the best practices to actually use it. And more importantly is to sit around and talk to the people that I love, my Ohana, and check in with them and see what they're up to and cause trouble and laugh with them.
I think that's an awesome point because, Midwest Dreamin being as large as it is, there are obviously, people that you may not get at some of the smaller regional events coming in
Absolutely.
for it,
Yeah.
But it's a family reunion. I've gotten more hugs in the last 2 hours than I've gotten in the last 2 months.
What happened when you walked in, right? You walked into the Palmer house, you walked up that escalator, and the very first thing you did, you're like, oh my God, it's Brad. And you walked, I was on a phone call, but oh my God, you were right there, and we could talk, and we chatted, and
Big as life.
and
Big
we
as
just
life.
keep going. That's what you do. You talk with everybody. All of a sudden, it's like, say you, guys talk to you, guys talk to you, and that's a good thing. Because that's how we that's how we as people really improve about what we're doing.
Right.
It's not necessarily the technical skills. It's really more the interpersonal
Yeah.
and being able to talk to each other and saying, why did you do this?
Yeah.
And knowing what that is and then being able to explain it is actually a critical success factor for any good person in this ecosystem.
And that's a really good point because with a gathering like this, it's not just people that are from different parts of the world, really, because there's Boston and Ireland and North Carolina and South Carolina, I'm sure,
All foreign countries. I can't believe they're all here.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Whatever. Anyways, but, the ecosystems that they're a part of, the industries that they're a part of are
Right.
just as diverse. Just
Sure.
as diverse.
Actually, it's amazing because I spent some time in Sydney a couple of years ago, and it's amazing to see how that ecosystem works and how Sales Cloud and Service Cloud work there. It's completely different than how it's actually done here in North America.
Right.
And being able to see why they do that and why that's important and how that's different helps us be better at what we do here.
And I don't think there's very many places aside from like a Dreamforce, where it's, the biggest software conference in the world, where you can get that kind of exposure, have those conversations.
Is it truly the biggest software conference in the world now?
We're going to roll with that.
You're going to go with it?
I thought it was technology conference in the world.
Technology.
There it
Okay, all
is.
right.
There
Okay,
it
all right,
is.
all right.
I was going to call the flag, but I decided against it.
Yeah, you remember, Ben. Well, you may not be old enough to remember. Salesforce means no software.
It does mean that, right? It does mean that.
Actually, I have one of the original cocktail shakers that says Salesforce no software on it. It's illegal now. but it holds a drink and a half.
It's contraband?
It's contraband.
Oh, no.
It's Salesforce swag contraband.
And do you get checked at the border for that, or?
Yeah, I can't bring that to Dreamforce anymore. There's the security stops me for that, but other than that, it's fine. No big deal.
So if you ever wonder why Brad Gross is in Salesforce jail, it's because he forgot to leave the contraband in his car when he drove in, and he was thoroughly pat down, and they found the contraband.
Well, I showed up to Salesforce now in an RV. I have shown up to Salesforce after a 9-day road trip with guys.
Nice.
Now we're planning a 9-day road trip on motorcycles to Dreamforce. So it's been we do know how to arrive at Dreamforce.
So I'm still waiting for the dream train. I want the dream train.
That's got to happen.
That will be a different group of people. The dream train is somebody else. I want you to do it, man. If you can do it, that'd be awesome. I want to see that. I want to participate virtually. But I want to be on a motorcycle cruising through the States. I've done it a couple times. Huge fan of it. But showing up on motorcycles, I think, would be the right way to really capstone my 15th Dreamforce.
Are you guys riding in on Harleys?
Well, that's the big conversation.
All
so
right,
we don't
all
know
right.
yet. Big conversation. But the idea is to show up and do Dreamforce right.
So there was a group of people that were talking, the Jeep that they always have in like the admin section, and there were a lot of people talking about maybe getting some of those Jeeps and driving cross country and picking. But
Huge fan.
You're kind of going right past that.
Yeah,
You're going right to bikes.
We gave up on that one. No, please be serious. We did the RV. The RV trip was a great time. 9 people in an RV. You know what's crazy about the RV trip is that over 4 days, the 5 greatest things about an RV trip all happened, right? We got lost.
Nice.
We got pulled over. We dropped a transmission.
Wait, you got pulled over?
We got pulled over. That's a great story.
Okay,
Great story.
all right.
We dropped the transmission. We hit Vegas.
Nice.
And we did a midnight swim in the Pacific Ocean. In 4 days.
I'm from Wisconsin.
We're talking about the RV trip here, Amber.
The RV trip was amazing.
We're talking about.
Oh, Amber was on the RV trip.
Amber was on the RV trip.
Wait. I thought you said it was with 9 guys.
Well,
I was the only girl on the RV trip.
Yes. So I was
And
telling
you
you.
held your own, didn't you?
Oh yeah. So I was telling you about the 5 things that happened in the 4-day trip, and maybe you can extrapolate some of the stories here. We got lost. Now, can you explain how we got pulled over?
So we were in Nebraska,
Yes.
and Zach.
got pulled over in Nebraska?
We got pulled over in Nebraska, and Zach was driving, and I was in the front seat. We were having a very in-depth conversation about something, I'm sure, and we got pulled over. And the state trooper, comes up to my window because Zach pulled over and he didn't want to stand in the interstate. Totally understandable. He literally thought we were like a booze cruise.
Nice.
And he was like, "Where are y'all headed?" We're like, "A software conference." And he goes, "Anybody been drinking?" We're like, "No." And we've all got our laptops, video equipment. Like, there's 9 people in this. It was insane. And he's like, "Well, y'all have a great trip." We're like, "Thanks, sir. Have a great day." So, yeah, I've been pulled over in Nebraska.
We got pulled over in Nebraska. We dropped a transmission.
We dropped a transmission outside of Cheyenne, backed down an on-ramp because we started, that was intense. What else happened?
Oh, we hit Vegas.
Oh, we hit Vegas.
Well, we can't tell stories there because what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
That's true. And then we got to do the midnight swim in the Pacific Ocean.
So several of the boys, meaning
Not her.
Not me, about half of them, decided to strip down to their skivvies and jump in the Pacific at like midnight off of Santa Monica Pier. Well, that's fine, whatever, you do you. But then they come back to the RV and they smell like ocean water and fish and gross and boy. And
It was a little, I think we call the term mannish.
Mannish was the name of
Mannish.
the name we gave the smell that the RV emitted as we drove down the interstate back and forth, So they get in the RV, and all the clothes were.
I lost a pair of shorts in that excursion.
Yeah, it was. There were no towels.
Brilliant.
There was no. It was amazing, and I would do it again tomorrow.
Yeah.
It was incredible. It changed. It legit changed my life in the best ways. I have 8 very good friends who I could call on for anything, who are stellar humans, and I adore them all. And they all smell bad, and it's amazing.
So, for all the aspiring admins and developers and consultants that are out there, would you recommend an RV trip?
I would recommend getting to know the people around you and take risks, not stupid risks, right? Like,
Right,
I knew these
right.
folks from Twitter and the internet. Yeah, we didn't get matching tattoos. We didn't go cliff diving. We didn't do any of that. I know we didn't do anything totally stupid, but we did get in an RV and go across the country, and it was incredible. And I would do it again tomorrow.
So who actually arranged the RV trip? Who were the ringleaders?
So this is my remembrance. Feel free to give this color. So Tom Wong, who was the VP of Dreamforce, he left Salesforce and started a company called Evently. And he had known a bunch of, we weren't even MVPs yet. We were MVPs. We were the Salesforce, or the Dreamforce Twitterati. I'm using air quotes that no one can see because this is a podcast. Twitterati.
That's the thing, Twitterati?
Twitterati. It was a thing.
Wow.
I know. It was literally, like, that was what was on our reserve seating, was Twitterati.
This is OG time
Oh,
that
OG.
you just
Oh, yeah.
can't get with any place
Right.
besides a Wizard Cast.
Right, exactly.
This is the only place you can get this.
I had no gray hair at the time. There was 0 gray hair.
I
in
had
my
no
body.
gray hair at the time. I probably weighed 40 pounds less too. It was those were the halcyon days. So anyway, we were the Twitterati, and so Tom says, I'm doing this new company. I want to do a marketing thing for Dreamforce. I want to get an RV, and I want to drive from Chicago to San Francisco. Who's in?
Everybody.
And well, there were a bunch of people on the planning calls, and including Becca Denty and Elizabeth Davidson and all the guys who ended up in the RV. And I was joining the calls because I was thinking, this sounds amazing. Like, I want to be involved, right? I can't not be involved in this thing. And I got off one of the calls, and I went home, and I said to my then boyfriend, tell me why I shouldn't do this. Like, explain to me why this is a horrible idea. And he said, it sounds like a great idea. Like, this sounds really good for your career, and it sounds like fun, and, like, why would you not do this? And I went, okay. So I came back to the next call, and I said, look, because all the guys on this trip were married, every last one of them, and I was a single lady. I mean,
Right.
living with my boyfriend, but not married.
All the single ladies.
I was all the single ladies. Well, funny story. I'll finish with it because a ring ended up being put on it. Anyway. So I got engaged after that trip. So I said to the guys, look, it was a Wednesday. I remember this. I said it was a Wednesday. We had the next call, and I said, look, I want to come, but I'm aware that I will be the only female, and I'm aware that you're all men and you're all married. So
Right.
please check with your significant others and make sure this is okay with everybody.
That
Like,
was so kind of you.
Well,
and thoughtful.
I don't want to be a shithead.
That's true.
Right?
That's true.
Safe harbor.
Don't make your buying decisions based on future possibilities.
Safe harbor, safe harbor.
Oh, there goes our clean rating in iTunes.
So, and everybody came back and said, no, it's totally fine. Come with us. And I went, all right, let's do this. And so so we did the trip. We did Dreamforce, and then I flew home, and my boyfriend picked me up at the airport and took me to dinner and proposed at dinner.
That'll do it. That'll do it.
I remember that. I remember that story.
Yeah.
And it was like, aww.
I have this strange feeling. We started this podcast episode talking about Midwest Dreamin and the importance in the events and trying to give some color of what it's like to be here,
Wait, can we talk about actually delivering a speech?
which was
I
what
have
I
a
was
great
going to
story to
ask
deliver a
Brad
speech.
about what's it like to be a speaker. But then we went on this wonderful tangent about RVs and mannish smells and engagement stories.
Right.
So this is Amber again, in case. I don't know why I'm
Anyone else
reintroducing myself.
recognizes the only other
Wow.
woman voice on the yeah. No,
I'm going to blame that on the
only woman voice.
champagne. So there is a group of folks who are trying to get Amtrak involved. Amtrak is a Salesforce
Yes,
customer.
Dream Train.
To take the train to Dreamforce.
Dream Train.
Dream train.
And we're trying to make that happen. I have not been able to make that happen, but I would love to do that. So if anyone from Amtrak is listening, call me, baby.
Like anyone from Amtrak listens to the Wizard
You know that
Cast.
we're going to just be like all day tagging Amtrak's Twitter handle.
Well,
when
maybe the people in Amtrak live in the anonymous proxy country that we have one listener.
Could be.
Could be. All right.
That could happen.
Hashtag on the tracks.
On the tracks, we'll go with that as well. That's,
So I have no idea how to segue to this at all. So I'm just
do
gonna
it. Hard left.
I'm just
Hard
gonna do
left.
it because
Bring it out.
we all know that people love podcasts, and if you're hosting a podcast, you can get 1 month free if you use the promo code PodMagic with Libsyn Hosting Services. Everyone's laughing at me.
Hashtag sponsored.
He just slid in a commercial for a sponsor. Come on.
Was that Libsyn? Tell me more.
Anyways, we use Libsyn on the Wizardcast, and I can't be more happy.
What's that code again?
We really need it's pod. Crap.
Pod Magic?
Pod Magic.
Pod Magic on Libsyn, you said.
On Libsyn.
For podcasting.
Yes.
Pod Magic?
Yes.
On Libsyn.
On Libsyn. Thanks, Brian.
Look, we have an algorithm to an episode. All I'm trying to do is stay with the algorithm.
This episode of the Wizardcast brought to you in part by Lip Sync. Sorry.
And you can go to Patreon. No, I'm kidding. I am absolutely kidding. But if you do want, my PayPal account is.
No.
I think the moral of the story is that we really do wish that Mark Ross could have been here.
And I think here's some things that I've learned today, Ben, just to wrap us up.
All right.
First, Midwest Dreamin, like all great community events with Salesforce, is an amazing event. Everyone should at least go once.
Amen.
Right?
Agreed.
Yeah. Okay. Second, stories from people who have been in the Salesforce Ohana for a long time can be absolutely hilarious, although not necessarily G-rated.
Amen.
That's fair. That's fair.
The third thing I've learned, and I've taken away from this, is I really need to be reading from a script for these podcast episodes. It's the only way we can keep this structured and clean.
Because otherwise the guests take over.
And that wasn't a terrible takeover by the guests either. I mean, that was some really insightful stuff on this consent.
That could have gone so much less better.
Yeah. For an impromptu panel, yes, absolutely.
We'll go with that.
So, since Ben is the co-host, we're going to let him do the outro closeout. Go ahead, Ben.
The ultra close-up?
Yeah, you listen to the podcast, so you know what the outro closeout is, right?
Well, tell me about it. Go.
It's all about who's producing it, who's doing the writing, and all that wonderful stuff.
This podcast was produced by Brian Krog and Mark Ross, directed by Brian Krog and Mark Ross, illustrated by Brian Krog and Mark Ross, translated by Brian Krog and Mark Ross.
Envisioned by Brian.
Yes, that.
Envision Brian Mark. And our intern this episode was
Ben.
Not Mark Ross.
not Mark Ross. And just for the listeners, I'm not going to be telling Mark about this episode. He's going to have to find out about it after it gets published.
You gotta tag all of us in it, and we'll be sure to post. We'll retweet
We'll make it shameless. We promise.